Assalamualaikum and very good morning to all the panelists. My name is SUHADA, your acting moderator for today's forum. Ladies and gentlemen, before I introduce our panel today, allow me to peel the first title of our forum. The title of our forum is Mental and Emotional Health for Teens during the COVID-19. In this forum, we will focus on mental emotional health since we know our world is being hit by the COVID-19. Now, let me know with all the four panels today. Started with Dr. NASUHA. Dr. NASUHA, she is currently working as lecturer at the Sultan Idris University of Education. Next was the second guest looking at you when wearing baju kurung, Mrs. Rahmah. Mrs. Rahmah, or known as a teacher Rahmah. Welcome, teacher Rahmah. Next, let's turn to our third panel, which is a researchers on this issue, Mrs. ASYKIN. And the end, we are father who has experience in this situation. That is Mr. SYARIFUDDIN. Welcome, Mr. SYARIFUDDIN. Now, can you all introduce to yourself to audience out there? Started with Dr. NASUHA.
Okay. Hi, Assalamualaikum everyone. I'm Dr. NASUHA. Thank you for inviting me to join in discuss about the hot issue right now, which is a mental health and emotional of our people in global, especially among teens. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. NASUHA. Next, Dr. Rahmah.
Assalamualaikum and hi. First and foremost, I would like to thank Miss Suhada as our moderator for inviting me to deliver some unique information on our forum about mental and health issue. You can call me Teacher Rama and glad to be here for this forum.
The story of teacher Rahmah are super cute. Next, Mr. ASYKIN.
Assalamualaikum and hi. Thank you our beautiful moderator, Mrs. Suhada, and I would like to say thank you for inviting me today to discuss about mental and emotional health for teens during COVID-19.
Next,
Thank you.
next, our last panel. Introduce yourself about this issue, Mr. SYARIFUDDIN. Mr. SYARIFUDDIN.
Sorry, I forgot
It's okay.
to open my game. Okay, Assalamualaikum. Firstly, I want to thanks to our moderator, Miss Suhada. And wow, Miss Suhada look very energetic in again this forum. And maybe young lady always like that. Okay. So my name is Muhammad Syarifuddin. I was a representative of the Parent Association at SMK Bukit Tinggi. This association is active in strengthening the relationship between teachers and parents. Then I have a son who is studying at school and this year he will be sitting for SPM. So I come to this forum to talk about experience how my son got mental and emotional problems and how to manage this problem. Thank you.
Thank you for introducing yourself to the audience. Well, before we go deeper about this issue, my first question to Dr. NASUHA. Dr. NASUHA, as a lecturer, what is exactly definition of mental emotional health issues?
Okay, thank you for asking the exact meaning of mental health. Included our emotional and psychological and social well-beings. It's affect how we think, how we feel, how we act. It's also help determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make decisions. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood and adolescence through adulthood.
Thank you, Doctor. I want to highlight the point, which is the psychological and social well-being affects how we think, feel, and act. It also help determine how we handle the stress. So, I want to ask him, the counselor, how we recognize the sign of a mental health emotional problems if the student had this issue.
Thank you, our moderator.
Mhm.
As Dr. Nasuha has mentioned before, the mental health can can affect daily living, relationship, and physical health. However, this thing also works in the other directions. Factor in people life, interpersonal connection, and physical factor can all contribute to the mental health disruptions. Looking after mental health can preserve a person's ability to enjoy life. Doing this involves reaching a balance between life activity, responsibility, and efforts to achieve physiological flexibility. Conditions such as stress, depression, and anxiety all affect the mental health and disrupt a person's routine. In my point of view, how to recognize sign of mental and emotional problem if your child has this issue is by inviting your child to talk about how their feeling depressed, hopeless, anxiety, and angry may be sign that they could benefit from more support during this difficult time. Keep in mind that teenage and young adults may try to hide their struggles because of fear, shame, or sense of responsibility to avoid burdening the others. So younger children may not know how to talk about this feeling, but may show changes in their behavior or development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Rahmah, for the very concise answer. I am so agree with that statement. The statement that mental health can be affect the daily living. Next to the researchers, Mr. Ashikin, did the COVID-19 season can be caused of the mental and emotional issues? If so, can please state the reason.
Thank you, moderator, for the questions. As we all know, every age group has been affected by coronavirus. Some people lost their job, lost loved one, and struggle to live in new norm. So this experience has this experience has a serious impact on our mental health. Not to be outdone, this coronavirus outbreak has also affected teenagers. Speaking of mental health, teenagers are among the most vulnerable to this issue. And study shows teenagers' mental health increased during COVID-19. In the study, about 7 out of 10 children reported that they had problem with their mental health. And, and more than 50% of teens say they struggle with anxiety, depression, and feel more depressed than usual. So, based on the data, it is not surprising if we say that teenagers suffer from extreme mental stress. This is because the life of teenagers have been completely taken away by pandemic. As we know, before they are studying in class, but now to switch to online learning, their sport activity will also stop. And for university student, like what we call a special event that they have been waiting for years, such as graduation, have also been cancelled. So actually, these are just a bit of the struggle that team have been faced during pandemic. Thank you.
Sorry for interrupt. I'm really so agree with your explanation, Ms. Ashikin. Thus, as the coronavirus pandemic rapidly spread across the world, it is inducing a considerable degree of fear, worry, and concern in the population at large, and amongst the groups in particular, such as older adults, care providers, and people with underlying health conditions. In public mental health terms, the main psychological impact to date is high rate of stress and anxiety actually. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Mrs. Ashikin. Thank you, Mrs. Ashikin and Dr. Nasuha. The info and description provided is very interesting. Now, to the father, Mr. Sharifuddin, wife at the home because NCO, what are the signs of your children having in this problem when? And did you go to the counselor, Mr. Sharifuddin?
Thanks for the question, Ms. Rada. Before I answer our moderator's question, I want to tell that pandemic COVID-19 was the main cause of the government ordering school to close and also students can only study from home. So our child cannot meet their friend for a while. Then the situation get worse when online learning has to use a smartphone or laptop. Indirectly, it requires very close monitoring so that they do not serve bad things. My son started showing signs that he was suffering mental and emotional problem after a few weeks of school closed. My son was a friendly and active person before the beginning of the COVID-19 outbreak. Since the virus spread so much, my son showed unusual behavior such as waking up late, being lazy to study, and the most concerned, he was less talkative while spending time with family. The most striking time that shows he is getting less and less cheerful with his family when we were eating together. Most concern is that he only leave his room if he is very hungry and sorry, sorry, is very hungry, and then after eating he will be back into his room without any conversation with me or my wife. My son's condition got worse from time to time until my wife and I were looking for a solution. Then we were suggested to get counseling from my friend. So we met a counselor to give him treatment for depression, and counselor also advised us to give more attention to my son. After a few months, my son has recovered now. After what happened to my son, my wife and I had promised ourselves that we would never repeat mistake by ignoring our son until he felt miserable being home. So I hope I have answered all of the Miss Suhada question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Sharifuddin. Now, back to the round two. I want to asking Dr. Nasuha. Dr. Nasuha, what is the strategy to support the teens when they are having this issue?
Actually, teenagers face a real concern between 13 and 19 years of age on a daily basis. This is the most awkward growth stage of their life. They go through and are expected to cope with hormonal changes, puberty, social and parental forces, work and school pressures, and so on. Many teens feel understood. This is because it is vital that their feelings and thoughts are validated and the validations come from their parents. Actually, parents are the main character who need to approach their children who have been dealing with teenage growth issue carefully in a friendly manner to discuss the concern. During these difficult times, it's important to continue looking after your physical and mental health. This will not only help teenage in the long terms, but it will also help they to fight COVID-19 if they get it, unfortunately.
Nice explanation, Dr. Nasuha. Here, I conclude the first. Parent needs to mean of the issue of the concern to the teens. To the Mrs. Rahmah, as the counselor, can you explain how your pediatrician can help your patient?
Thank you, moderator. My personal view on how pediatrician can help is that stay keep in touch with your pediatrician is more important than ever during this pandemic. If you have any concerns, just ask your pediatrician's office about checking on your child's social and emotional health. This can be especially important for children that facing higher rates of illness or risk from the COVID-19, such as the minorities and those who with the special health care needs. So the pediatricians can screen for depression and ask about the other concern like anxiety, the doctor may also ask about this symptom in the other family members as they can improve, they can impact your child health. And whether they know anyone who becomes sick with the COVID-19, it's important to offer your teens some privacy to talk with their pediatricians during the visit to ensure that they have the chance to speak as openly as possible. So the pediatricians also taking extra precautions to make in-person visits safe during the pandemic, and many are also providing the telehealth visits. So you may wonder what is telehealth.
Mhm.
So telehealth is the use of digital information and communication technology such as the computer and the mobile device to access healthcare service remotely and manage your healthcare. These may be technologies that you use from home or that your doctor used to improve or support healthy care service. Thank you.
That's right. I am so impressed about the telehealth. I need to buy one for me. Next, to the our researcher, Mrs. Ashikin. How do you do the self-care and setting the tone?
When teens face depression or anxiety, a strong support system is very important to them. As older people, parents are the most qualified individual to approach children through communication method. For example, when the child is too tired to study, ask them to take a rest for a while, and it can reduce their stress. Therefore, as a parent, you need to be careful to maintain interaction with child and give advice and reminder as often as possible to them. And for teenagers,
Mhm.
if you feel tired while studying, take time to calm down, take time to take a breath, ask your teacher or lecturer to post the lecture for a while. Besides, you can do exercise in your backyard or do fun activity with your family, such as gardening. So actually, this activity can reduce the stress that you all have been faced. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. At the moment ago, Mrs. Ashikin told about the parents what to do. So, I want to ask Mr. Sharifuddin, as a father, can you please explain and tell us how you support your children when he is in this situation?
Thank you to our
Mhm.
moderator. What I do as a parent is I will never miss spending precious time with my child by doing activities such as playing chess or playing video games together, and always accompanying my child to do homework. Then I like to Miss Ashikin said that parents need to be careful to maintain interaction with children, give advice and reminder as often as possible to them. Yes, I very much agree with what Miss Ashikin said. And I want to add a little bit from Miss Ashikin's statement that parents should have always ask about our child development day to day and always assist them if they are having problem in lesson so that they do not feel like their parents are ignoring them. Last but not least, parents should not put too much pressure on them so that they feel burdened and stressed to study. In conclusion, parents play the biggest role in during that our child are not children are not stuck with mental and emotional problem because nowadays they spend their whole time at home. I want to give a quote: "Always cherish our child because he is a God, gift from God." Okay, that's all I can conclude. Thank you.
Mm. Thank you so much for the quotes. From the explanation, we can see how loved Mr. Sharifuddin to his son. Here, I want to draw a conclusion about this our topic. The stress, fear, grief, and isolation created by COVID-19. So we can wear anyone down, affect the mental and emotional someone. But teens have the especially tough time to coping the emotional. So as a more people, we need to get the vaccine. There is growing hope to pressure our pandemic to will be easy. Continue to chat with your children often and watch your listen of the signs and the struggling. And remember that your pediatrician is here to help. Thank you for the conclusion today and thank you for again for the four guys for coming and sharing of their opinions. I hope what you get today is not just in one ears and out of the other. It seems that time is very jealous of us. Before the end, let's clap to ourselves because successful to listen of discussion today. Remember, always cheerful and stay safe everyone. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And I would like to open Q&A session from audience about this topic today.